See what you help me look. I can't see. Alvarado, Betancourt, Birdwell, Blanco, Campbell, Creighton, Eckhart, Flores, Gutierrez, Hall, Hancock, Hinojosa, Huffman, Hughes, Johnson, King, Colcourse, Lamantia, Menendez, Middleton, Miles, Nichols, Parker, Paxton, Perry, Schwertner, Sparks, Springer, West, Whitmire, Zaffarini.
Members, 27 yes votes, 4 no votes. The motion to table prevails. Senator Huffman, you're recognized. Passage to third reading.
I move passage to third reading on the committee substitute to House Bill 2454. For what purpose?
Okay. Any objection? Hearing none. Bill passed the third reading. You're now recognized to suspend the constitutional 3-day rule.
So moved, Mr. President.
Secretary will call the roll.
Alvarado, Betancourt, Birdwell,
31 ayes, no nays. The rule is suspended. Chair lays out on third reading and final passage committee substitute for House Bill 2454. Did you wish to speak now, Senator Gutierrez? No. We're on final right now. Now would Secretary read the caption.
Committee substitute House Bill 2454 relating to the unlawful acquisition of certain weapons.
Chair recognizes Senator Gutierrez to speak on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this is a good piece of legislation. The problem is that it mirrors federal law. And so I think that we should, that's always a good thing when we're doing that. The federal law is actually a bit more expansive. It allows for a reasonable, prudent standard. Gives us more opportunity to stop people that shouldn't have weapons of this type. It's probably the last opportunity that we're going to have to be able to do anything in this building that would make it a little harder for people to access militarized weapons or weapons of any kind. I have shed a few tears with you privately. I've shed a few tears in this room. Shed some tears in the Lieutenant Governor's office. Next week we'll memorialize these children that passed on. But I think that we're missing a real opportunity to be more expansive here without infringing on anybody's rights. We have to be able to regulate the guns that are killing people indiscriminately. And it is the guns. I know people say it's people. But take the guns away to some level. Take them from people that are mentally ill, like the young man in Allen, Texas. Minors, like the young man in Uvalde. We have opportunities to do things that are responsible in here. And we've abrogated our responsibilities because a few people on the far right want to tell us that we're infringing on their constitutional rights. I'm a gun owner. I own 9 weapons. I've acquired them all legally. When you go to a gun show, I don't know how many of you have actually been to a gun show. You have federally licensed dealers, and you have what are called traders or hobbyists. There's one ATF agent there sometimes. He's going around talking to those hobbyists. He asks the hobbyists, well, are you making money on this? They say, no, I'm just a trader. I don't make money on this. That's all he's got to ask. The hobbyist when someone goes up to him to buy the AR-15, says, "Hello, Mr. Purchaser, how are you? I want to buy this AR-15. Okay. He only has to ask two questions. Are you a U.S. citizen? And have you ever been convicted of a felony? That's it. No driver's license is exhibited. Nothing. There are more weapons bought at gun shows, weapons that are ending up in Mexico in the hands of cartels. 40% of the AR-15s made yearly in the United States end up in the hands of Mexican cartels. What are we doing? I don't understand this anymore. You shouldn't be fearful of irrational people. I agree with Senator Colcourse when she says that criminals act irrationally. John Lott, their so-called expert that was here 2 days ago with the NRA, he also argued in the House bill. John Lott wrote a book. More crimes equal less guns. That's his title of his book. More guns equals less crime. He wrote that, and with that, he became the NRA's lead expert. This is what he wrote. This is his conclusion. My conclusion is that criminals as a group tend to behave rationally. When crime becomes more difficult, less crime is committed. We haven't done anything session after session to make crime more difficult. Yeah, we've enhanced some bills. Someone filed a 10-year minimum. The lieutenant governor suggested 10-year minimum. Great idea. We passed that bill, I think, out of this building. I don't know who it was. Senator Hughes, perhaps. I don't know. Out of this side of the building. You presume that criminals act rationally. They don't. The first part of my career, I was a criminal defense lawyer. I've been a lawyer now for 23 years. I did that for 12. Went to trial. Senator, she was a judge presiding over criminal cases. And she just told you criminals don't act rationally. They don't. And we presuppose that by creating pieces of legislation that are going to be enhanceable type offenses, that somehow that's going to prevent those people from doing this thing. Oh, hell, the legislature just passed a bill, and I'm going to have a 10-year minimum if I take this gun into that grocery store and rob them. They don't think that. John Lott, the leading expert for the NRA, he's absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. And we have spread guns so much into the hands of young people, in the hands of people that are irresponsible in their storage. In March, a 3-year-old shoots her 4-year-old sister to death in Houston. Just yesterday, a 3-year-old shoots her 1-year-old sister in Houston because parents didn't safeguard the damn guns. Thank God the 1-year-old lived. He lived yesterday. 2 months ago, that little 3-year-old is never, ever going to be the same again. Never. I need to apologize to all of you. I need to apologize to the lieutenant governor because I started out, I tried to be nice, and then I got angrier and angrier, and I've been angry for a long time. I've been angry for a long time. I've been angry because I saw everything that the Department of Public Safety gave me in a hard drive this big, And I had to see it because there was tremendous failure. As Steve McCraw suggested, it was abject failure. 2 terabytes of information. I needed to see the failure, but what I saw was a lot of failure. And what I saw was little children with no faces. What I saw was bodies just riddled. Blood everywhere. 3 piles of kids. 2 of them with teachers draped over them in one room. Kids in another room, piled together, because that's what we train them to do. We train them to go huddle together. I know you think that we have done some good things on school hardening, and we have. The senator, the chairwoman, has passed a good piece of legislation, hopefully in a few minutes. But it is hardly enough. We don't get to pat on ourselves on the back for mirroring federal legislation. That isn't enough. I'm going to stay angry for a long time. You haven't seen what I've seen. I urge you to sign a non-disclosure agreement if you think you can live with it. So you too can get 2 terabytes of information. I urge you to look at all the videos. I urge you to hear the officers throwing up as they take down that gunman and see the scene a few minutes later. You've never seen so much blood in your life. You have to tell those fringe people in your party that they are wrong. That you didn't infringe on their gun access. Someday you're going to have to tell them that there is no way in hell mentally ill people should have these things. You're going to have to tell them that you have to have some restrictions on people on how they access these weapons. You're even going to have to tell them that an 18-year-old shouldn't be able to buy an AR-15 like he's buying soda pop at 7-Eleven. I sure am sorry to all of you the way that I've behaved this session. I am angry as hell. And I see these kids when I go to bed at night. I see them in the morning when I wake up. Their parents are all my friends. I see them on Facebook. And I see them when they're alive on Facebook, laughing, enjoying life, and hoping, like all kids hope. I'll close with this. We have to do this and more, a hell of a lot more. When you're a young man in your 30s and 40s, you think, man, you got the world by them. You know what? And you think, man, I want to do all these things, and you're ambitious. And you want to just do great things. Then you become a parent. Your ambition changes a little bit. Your ambition, your hope, turns into a hope for your children. What they're going to do and what they're going to become. For For these families, all that hope is gone. It's just lost. All these people argue here every day, every week they were here. I didn't get them here. It wasn't me coming having them knock on your door. It's all they had left. To be able to come to you and advocate so that this wouldn't happen again. Anybody else's kids. Of course, we know it has. It happened 2 weeks ago. So I get what you guys have to deal with back home, and I get that you have to go and run for office. Sometimes you just got to tell those people to go to hell. And you're here to protect kids. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. So, Mr. President, thank you for the time, and I do apologize to you. My behavior. I do apologize.